23 years ago, within the world of roses and rabbits, Prince Ordo Arcelical of Roth dipped his quill in the golden ink pot reserved for matters of state. Tapping off any excess ink, he pursed his plump lips in concentration and scrawled his name below the rest. His secretary dripped a precise glob of fragrant red wax, and the prince pressed his ring to it with a grunt of satisfaction, affixing the royal seal. There. It was done. He leaned back, arms crossed over his ample belly. From their court portraits, his predecessors watched history being made. The fools. Ordo smiled triumphantly at his great-grandfather, who'd caved to Mellynne and given up so much of Avio, the great capital of Roth, without a whimper. At his grandfather, who'd squandered more wealth building roads to places no one wanted to go. Last but not least, at his own father, whose extra chins rested on stiff lace and who'd exacerbated matters with Ansnor until their domains had plunged into an undeclared, expensive war. Fools, the lot. Not he. His secretary eased the next copy into place. The prince signed and sealed it, then waved off the man's attempt to collect the document. He rested his extra chins on a beringed finger to admire his accomplishment. Let Mellynne complain. He'd signed and sealed the document to scour that domain's influence from Avio's heart. The prince chuckled. Found use for that blighted road north, hadn't he? Stiff with seals and fine print, approved by a thin majority of the House of Keys and a sufficiency of the House of Commons, today he, Prince Ordo Arcelical of Roth, legally reclaimed wealth and property that should, after all, be in truly Rothan hands. There might not be rejoicing in the streets, the populace at large more confounded than pleased, but behind closed doors, debt, that most useful of currencies, some repaid, so their owners believed, by yesterday's vote, for he'd chosen those Rothan hands with great care. Others to wait, their obligations settled in place like unseen chains. With this pen and document, he'd begun the elevation of those who would, who must, support his ultimate goal, the conquest of Ansnor. Years it would take, perhaps the rest of his life, but was he not patient? And such a grand game, this one to savor. Ordo touched the now hard wax and smiled. Roth's future and his legacy as its greatest prince would be assured. Time to commission his own portrait.